talk to us a little bit about what AI means to you and from a business perspective too.
What AI means to me, I will answer from like foundation model perspective. So as you can see in the past few years, the model has been evolving super fast as we witness, from ChatGPT and other foundation model. And the intelligence level of this model has grown from like infant to high schoolers to college students. And I think it's very likely we're going to see them performing in PhD level in certain tasks. So what that means for us is you're going to actually work with them in the future. Think about today, like when I work with AI, I feel like they're my interns, right? But in the short term, they're going to probably more like providing insightful feedback for my work. So I treat them more like co-workers. But in the future, they may be given better ideas. They may be like better decision making in some aspect. So in that case, I would need to think about how we really can work with them in the best way. Yeah. What AI actually means for HPE is that HPE is the company that delivers the fastest supercomputer in the world. Think about AI challenges today. Actually, AI is becoming a supercomputer problem. Why do I say that? Like, if you think about 13, 14 years back, the fastest supercomputer at that time can train 1 million largest AI model in parallel in 1 week. But today, the fastest supercomputer we HP delivered is the Frontier supercomputer, which has 37 AMD GPUs. But I would argue that's just bare enough for training the largest foundation model in the world, right? So AI is becoming supercomputer problem, and we need to deal with that.
What AI is about how a machine can take over the decision-making process, right, of humans. And that's, in short, what AI is about. So first of all, AI is definitely the core strategy of where IBM is going. But back in 1995, IBM has already started with AI. It developed a machine called the Deep Blue, playing chess with Kasparov and won. And back in 1997, we had participated in Jeopardy, where the AI called Watson at that time won the 2 top Jeopardy players at that time. So it's a long history of AI where IBM came from. Now for today, IBM is focused around providing a platform for enterprises to build AI, to tune AI, and to manage their AI.
Before that, let's understand what Gen AI is, because everybody's talking about Gen AI. I think AI has been there for quite a long, more than 50 years, I would say. Gen AI is something new, or I would say a little bit new. It's like learning from what we have in our context, and once we learn using natural language to query, to answer, to get answers about it, or making some context out of what you have learned. So Gen AI is all about learning about your environment, documents, images, videos, audio that we have, and trying to make use of that information in a natural language. Let's say building a travel itinerary. Now, based on your itinerary and my friend's itinerary, I can learn something about it. So instead of going to you and going to my friend, I can just ask ChatGPT, give me an answer, where do I go? I have 3 days in hand. That's Gen AI all about. And that's more of end user context. If it is applied to businesses, it could be even different.
I do believe AI is going to permeate all walks of our lives, from the way we work to the way we play and to the way we live. So it's going to have a massive impact for all of us. And I think from a business environment, there's so much opportunities, both in terms of smaller companies equalizing some of the disadvantages they might have, but also from a business model perspective, the opportunity to differentiate with technologies like AI.
We've been working with AI for quite a while, actually more than 10 years, different types of AI. And for a while, it was very much a predictive AI, predicting like customer churn, for example. And recently, of course, the big thing has been generative AI. And because of the rise of large language models, one very important change is that it's made it a lot easier for workers in general, right? It could be marketers, it could be creatives, to interact with AI, right? Now they just have a prompt, right? And it's natural language. So that's made it really easy, and it's been very much a game changer. And the other aspect of generative AI is that it's helped to allow our customers to do things a lot faster that they couldn't do before, right? Like, for example, generate images, generate text, and stuff like that, as well as working with data.
With that, what would you say some of the key challenges of AI are for businesses at the moment?
I think one of the challenges business need to think about is how to embed AI into everything we do at work, rather than sort of treating AI like a standalone project. And we have seen some organizations take that approach. I do see AI is a skill like maybe typing and even data analytics. In the earlier days of computerization, you have to take a specific course to learn typing, and nowadays everybody does. Similarly, for data analytics, it used to be in the hands of a small team of data scientists, and some call themselves data ninjas. But in today's world, everybody, whether you are from a business function, you are from technology, you need to learn a skill like data analytics, and AI will become that skill. So that's a challenge that organizations need to think about.
I love that. I think thinking of it as a skill is a really good way to kind of incorporate it. Yeah.
And I think the other challenge that organizations need to think about is to how to have teams that create value instead of building models. So technology is meant to serve the business. It's meant to create business value by solving a real business challenge. We do see many organizations experimenting with technology today. So one of the things that they have to be cautious about is not to have experimental POCs sprouting out in different parts of the organization, but really have a coherent way to organize AI projects into and funnel investments into the areas that really will create business value.
One of the key challenges is data, right? Where's the data coming from? That's something that customers have to be very conscious about. How do you use my data? And when I use my data to train models, is it something that's going to leak back into a space that's outside of my organization, for example? So that's something that customers and enterprises are very, very conscious about when they work with AI.
I think one of the main challenges is around skills, right? A lot of organizations are still facing difficulty in getting good skills around AI, right? And of course, the other challenges, if you want to adopt AI, the governance of AI is key, right? How do you make sure that this AI adoption is fair, is transparent, and is ethical? These are some of the challenges that organizations feel. The other challenges around scaling up, right? A lot of the AI projects start small, but how can you scale up these projects in the long run, in the enterprise level? That's the other challenge that a lot of organizations are facing.
Challenges would be, it's a new technology. So how do we convince the guys who signed the check to invest into it? It's biggest thing. Like, it's next cool thing to do, but is it worth enough to invest? So one is on the investment, but more than that, skills. Do we have enough skills today to adopt this technology? That's one. More than that, the entire Gen AI today depends on how good is your data. So if data quality is good, the results or success rate or failure rates would accordingly change. So if my data is of good quality, it will not be a biased result. So ChatGPT, for that matter, or any other GPT or any other LLM would be able to give more relevant answers to me if my data quality is good than just giving a biased opinion. So I would say, while investments, skills is on one side that businesses can take care, the having good quality data is the foundation for having any Gen AI based implementation in our environments today. So those are few things that I feel are most important that we must consider before adopting Gen AI in our environments today.
The key challenge, I would say, resource consumption. Like, if your company really seriously thinking about using AI in some certain use cases, right? I will talk about AI deployment or usage from 3 stages: from training to evaluation and to deployment. Training, I just mentioned, like, the largest supercomputer in the world can only train a single model at any time point. And for evaluation, think about if your company would deploy this model for some specific use cases. There are more than 100,000 models that's out there on Hugging Face, which is the most popular open source AM platform. and there are thousands of benchmarks you can run. So how would you know which model is better suited for your enterprise use cases? Yeah, if you brute forcefully do the evaluation, the cost will be a minimum like 100 million USD. That's the estimation we did. So there's no way that many like small to medium company can do that. So they need to be really smart about selection of model and also identification of benchmark to run the evaluations. Then deployment. So we have seen the model has been growing bigger and bigger. It's very likely we're going to say 10 trillion and 50 trillion model size in 1 or 2 years. So that means even just to run a single model, there's no way you can fit your model within a single server with 8 or 16 GPUs. So, and resource constraint is becoming one of the biggest challenges of using AI.
Following on from obviously challenges is some great opportunities for your customers as well. So what do you think some of those key opportunities are with AI?
Back in 2023, IBM did a AI adoption index. Now, we found that 53% of enterprise level organizations have already adopted AI in some form for their businesses. But and this is up from 39% back in 2021. So there's a huge jump in the percentage. Now, but only 28% of businesses have a holistic view of what they want to do with AI. Right? So what IBM is trying to provide is this platform that we, if you may, right, for enterprises to build their AI. Right? May it be to tune, may it to govern, and may it to have know where the data is coming from. You know, that's one level. At the same time, we're also providing applications on top of this for businesses to develop AI applications faster.
I think let's first talk about end consumers, you and me. Like,
Yeah.
I think things like ChatGPT has changed the way we normally used to search things around, right? We don't need to go to Google every time today. We can just use ChatGPT and let ChatGPT do the work for us. Same thing's happening with Meta AI today. Same thing's happening with Gemini today. So I think for end users, Gen AI has kind of changed the way we look at using internet or using things that we used to do in past or doing things that we used to do in past. When it comes to industries or businesses, it's like making things smarter, smart manufacturing, detecting frauds in real time, doing better drug discoveries, telemedicine. These are various industry use cases where Gen AI is helping us. So be it industries, be it end users, I think it's just making things smarter and more easier for us to do business with, to do daily work with.
I think AI has the opportunity to be an equalizer or a differentiator. So in the past, smaller companies may find it very difficult to compete with larger companies because of scale or because they just find it hard to hire people. But with technologies like AI, they could easily neutralize and equalize their disadvantage. So what that will mean is that we're going to get a very vibrant ecosystem where smaller companies have a fair chance to be successful, and that will mean more choices for consumers, which is great for all of us. But at the same time, besides being an equalizer, AI can also be a differentiator where it allows you to create new business models that simply didn't exist before. As an example, it allows you to really accelerate product development in a way that is cheap, easy to try out, get user feedback, and refine from there. I think those were all advancements that I'm excited to see where AI can take us to.
I can answer that from 3 different examples. Like first, I will use one of my personal use case. The second one from HP internal use case. The third using external use case without disclosing the customer name. Okay, the first one I would think, yeah, there's opportunity of improving productivity of employees by 2x or even more. So I'm a researcher. My job involving, brainstorming ideas and writing papers, doing experimentations. So what I'm been using is sandbox version of ChatGPT called ChatHPE, and been using that brainstorming partner. And sometimes I was amazed by the feedback and ideas generated by these AI models. And of course, I use GitHub Copilot to do coding. And not only my coding speed has been boosted up, but also I was able to code in the language I have never used before. Okay, so productivity is number one. The second one is HP internal use case. For example, today, 80% of the customer support call is still handled by human engineers. And we're building some POC to reduce that rate from 80% to under 20%, even lower. And the estimated cost saving will be on the orders of 10 million USD annually.
Oh, wow.
Now, the third use case will be something like some company would actually want to use the AI for coding assistant. Again, because they own their data, they own their hardware design language. So there's no way they can rely on public available open source AI for that. So they would actually need to work with us to develop their own AI so that their hardware engineer can use that to code and design next generation hardware.
I think because Adobe is working very much in the area of marketing, right, with brands that and driving customer experiences through marketing. One of the things that we've been working with our customers on is real-time customer experiences or real-time digital marketing, and that's very hard to do on a manual basis with just people operating it, right? Because it's done on a scale that's very much into millions and millions of consumers, for example, with banks and telcos, running personalization, for example. And that's something that's very hard to do, as I mentioned, manually. But suddenly with AI, it makes it a lot easier for enterprises to automate this, right? So suddenly they're able to do something that they couldn't do before. The other area where it's proven to be really, really useful is, for example, in the areas of creativity, right? Because they've had to scale up production of content and digital assets for this type of personalization. And all of a sudden, you're able to do it a lot faster. You're able to just generate ideas. And even for creatives, the human creatives who are working, it's suddenly taken their productivity to the next level.
Yeah, fantastic. And with those advancements and those opportunities comes some ethical considerations. So what do you think some of those ethical considerations are that we should concern ourselves with?
The number one concern I hear when talking to people are really the fact that will AI take away most, if not all, our jobs?
Yeah.
And I think the reality is going to be different because humans have innovated very well through different eras that we have gone through massive technological advancements, and this will be the same. New jobs will be created, old jobs will be redefined, and in the end we'll be able to live in a better world.
Drawing boundaries is must for how do we use it and how ethically we use it. So as long as we draw the boundaries within which we make use of Gen AI or AI based implementations, we would be able to take care of the ethical part of it or governance part of it. Now, the way you look at drawing these boundaries would be taking the result as it is into the production, or reviewing it once before we apply, or what kind of data is fed into the system. If it is critical data, sensitive data, then let's not share that data. Let's use that in a different context or in a different way. But if it is a non-sensitive data, let's not be a personal data or data that is more personal in nature, it can be avoided. That way we can avoid a lot of ethical issues of it. But in general, I would say, how do we draw boundaries around what type of data is fed into the system to be able to make use of that data is where we can do a lot as an organization or as the business users of it. Once that is taken care, the end users would definitely be able to only see what is fed into the system. So I think it's more in our hands than the end user's hand to apply the ethical boundaries to it.
That's a very good question, especially as the model are getting smarter. The way it produces unethical content can be non-trivial. So I would say detection of these unethical content will be a challenge. So that's where we are actually solving the problem from two parallel directions. The first one is from the technical perspective. So we need to understand the model better So in order to control the model, control the generation of the model content, we actually need to perform something like a microsurgery of the AI. Instead of just today, you just give hints, right? You form your prompt, ask ChatGPT, can you just make sure whatever you say is ethical, is safe, right? That's just a hint. It doesn't guarantee the content produced is always ethical. But instead, as we understand more of the AI, we are going to actually control what actually we call the AI terminology called latent space to control the AI generated content, making sure that the content produced is ethical. Of course, before we can do that, I think it's very important to design a mechanism to have human in the loop, because human can also generate unethical content. So human in the loop, which means like where you would actually have human to examine the results or content generated by AI and how you want to use that. Yeah, all this mechanism needs to be well thought and designed.
For one, coming back to data, what data is or are those models being trained on? So for example, with our creative models, which we call Firefly, our family of creative models, we've made a conscious decision not to scrape the internet like some of the other models have, but to train it only on images and videos to which we have the rights, copyrights, right? Like for example, from our own database of images and videos, and public domain images and videos. So that's one thing that we've done, right? Which is given us the ability to make it commercially safe for enterprises who use our creative models.
I even believe that in the adoption of AI, the organizations that want to deploy this AI have the responsibility to make sure that the AI is ethical, is fair, right? And with this principle, right, these are some of the principles that IBM goes by. The AI is not to replace humans, right? It's to augment human intelligence so that the humans can do something more complex and more value adding. That's one. The second, the data that's being used to create the AI belongs to the organization. It doesn't go anywhere, or it doesn't go public, or it's not being shared with other people, but it belongs to the organization that creates the data. And the third being, the AI has to be fair and has to be transparent, right? So that people get to trust the AI.
For my final question, if you could summarize in one word what the main human or business impact of AI will be in the next 10 years, what would that be?
How do we do it? In one word, if I had to say, I would say smarter. Because every revolution has pros and cons. But at the end, it makes our lives more smarter. We take a leap forward from how we used to do in the past. Let's take example of cars. When cars were invented, we could go from one place to other place faster. With Gen AI, we may be able to do things much faster, much easier, and much smarter than how we are doing it. So I would say AI, Gen AI for me is being smarter. Being smarter in a way I do my work day to day, being smart in the way my business operates, being smarter in a way I help my customers do the things.
Yeah, I think all organizations need to really seriously think about in the future how you make sure you reorg your organization chart so human and AI work the best, because human is going to work with AI in different ways. AI using digital tools, AI doing web browsing, even embodied intelligence like robotics, right, working to performing manufacturing or any other task. So yeah, I think if a company can figure out the best way to make sure that human and the AI work in the optimal way, I think the company would have a higher success rate in the future.
I would say definitely the increase in productivity, right? A lot of the repetitive things that a lot of humans are doing today can be replaced with AI, and then that's where the higher level stuff will be then done by the humans. We have more time to be done by the humans.
To me, that one word will be change, because this world keeps changing, right? If we look just back at the last 18 to 24 months, how much has changed with the advent of large language models, generative AI. And there's still a lot of unknowns down the road. I think for one, the technology will keep evolving and keep improving. And the nature of our jobs will also change. There will be, for example, job augmentation. There might be new work roles, for example, that pop up. Like, for example, creative technologists or quality engineers, right? So I think we will see a lot of change just within the next 2 to 3 years, not to mention 10 years, arising out of this technology. And that's something that we have to be very aware of, and we have to keep tracking this and being very conscious of the impact it has on people, on job roles, and on enterprises, for example.
I'm going to cheat a little bit and use 2 words, and I'll use dream big.
Dream
I think
big, yep.
the opportunities created by AI are limitless, and we are really bound by our own imagination. So we can dream big around what we do from a business environment. How do we create new revenue streams, create new business models, accelerate product development? But we can also dream big about how to make our personal lives better and improve our quality of lives. AI can really help us optimize and automate a lot of the mundane tasks that we do, which then creates time for us. What do we use that time for? We can use it to serve the next generation, we can use it to contribute back to society, or we can really just use it to do lifelong learning.